It's a joy to be here at the 85th anniversary of St. Thomas's Preparatory School in Kollupitia, and a school that has had a rich history. 85 years compared to some of the other schools is not very long, but Prep School has built a name for itself over the years, simply through the alumni that it has produced, who are now in varied walks of life and in different parts of the world, some in leadership positions as well. We are here in the chapel of the Good Shepherd, which has been a spiritual home for children from 1957, and it has produced men for the ministry of the church, and some of them were gathered here this morning to celebrate these 85 years. Sanchita Vikramasuriya, who was on the staff at Prep School, compiled history of Prep School up to the year 2020, long after its 80th year. And we would like to know from him what were the thoughts running through the head of Mr. Keeble as he began this school, simply because there was another school in the vicinity, about 10 kilometers away, St. Thomas's, Mount Lavinia, and yet there was something different that he brought to this school. And Sanchita, who knows, have written and compiled this history, will be able to enlighten us.
Essentially, W.K. Keeble wanted to start a school for smaller boys, away from the influence of older children, so that they could enrich themselves and their creativity, and all of that could be brought out without the hindrance that older boys would bring to younger children. And his main focuses were on things like arts, music, play. He wanted children to really learn by being active, by being in the activity versus learning about the activity in a classroom setting. So that was really Keeble's main idea, which also then motivated him to start the second school in Bandaravilla also, so that children would have another environment of learning. And so that really was Keeble's vision for the school.
So 1938, Sanchita was just about a year before war broke out throughout the world. And how did the school survive through the Second World War?
So in 1938, after the school started, by 42, by the end of 42, the school had to start shifting around. Initially, the school was kind of closed temporarily and had to move to, a certain amount of students moved to Bandaravilla, but also the school itself moved to the neighboring areas right here, very close to Bishop's College, actually.
By this place?
Yes, this place, by using a house donated by J.L.D. Pires, who actually donated this building that we are in right now. So by the good graces of the Pires family, we were able to sustain the school during those years until we moved back in here in around 46.
The school has seen many vicissitudes, and we have survived a number of national events. One is the war of 30 years, and this area became very vulnerable due to being a high security zone. And 83 in particular was quite a bad year for the entire nation. I'm sure you captured some of that in the history. Is there anything that is poignant that we need to record at this moment about the life of the school and how it faced some of those challenges?
Well, the fact that the children were never really discriminated. The children were always kept within the school itself. The community protected regardless of whether they were Sinhalese or Tamil or whatever issue that arose in society. The child itself was always treated as a child. They were never really, I guess, what's the word? They were never discriminated against because of anything. So I think that way the school really protected its children and really created a safe haven for the whole community.
So staff and students all alike found this place a safe haven for the time that they had to go through a very difficult period, challenging period for the entire nation, as it were. And the school survived those years quite well, though as you recall, Sanchita, the magazine speaks for itself that there was a very slim magazine the following year or that year to show that a lot couldn't be achieved, but yet they were able to record some events. Is there anything that you think we need to talk about at this point?
Well, it was very similar again to how we had to deal with COVID. It was very similar how we couldn't get a magazine out during that time, but after about 2-3 years we were able to kind of compile a 2020 and start on move on from there. But that also shows that the school has had these same kind of themes over and over again, and that I think is the importance of going through that history to see how they dealt with it back in the day, because what we deal with now is nothing new. It's maybe a new setting, maybe a new threat, but threats have never been something that the school has lacked. It has always had threats, but still the school has always plowed through, and that I think is the biggest learning from seeing the fact that magazines continued, school continued, everything managed to plow through.
So Prep School is a learning institution that we inherited from a British system, and probably in Britain itself lots of things have changed. One is co-ed, where girls and boys sit in the same classroom and study together and grow up together, very especially to be able to respect the other and to see the different genders and gender equality, different expressions of gender and so on. What do you think, since that you have also been in special education now at the blind school in Rattalana and working with children who are differently able and challenged physically, mentally, psychologically and so on. The whole thought of Prep School evolving in the years to come into being a co-ed school.
Well, I think Prep School definitely has the potential to evolve, because again, it is a smaller community. So in a way, it is like the most perfect test. It is small enough to be able to withstand and adapt and change, but big enough to also give a bigger picture of what it could be in other schools as well. So it's the perfect kind of testing ground for any system that way. And Prep School has actually agreed to take a couple of blind children for a week as part of a student exchange program. So the fact that the school is actually taking those steps shows that the school is looking forward and working towards expanding and becoming a leader in at least in things like inclusive education.
COVID-19 gave us a good opportunity to rethink about school, and lots of children dropped out of school. Some children took a long time to come back. We went online. School became remote, and this whole thing about democratic school is another concept that we need to look at, where the children rather, plan out what they want to learn, and then learning takes place in a very different environment. How can we combine that concept and idea into a school like Prep School? Because I'm sure there must be some way to bring this in, because it has been over 100 years now in the UK that there is a school that has been a democratic school. What do you have any thoughts on that, son?
Well, the democratic school really runs on it needs to be based in something, in my opinion, in a boarding setting. And I think that is also something very important for a school like Prep, which always had a boarding. And if the school could restart that and provide that facility again to students, that is another way to get more students from around the island to come back into the school, because we'll be giving that facility. And that then allows, because for a democratic school to function, the children need to be in and up in each other's business. They need to feel that. They need to feel the tension. They need to feel that friction to cause for a meeting to come, for them to vote on things and enact and make change. Versus not a 6-hour school where you come, you go, you can get away from the situation. You need to be in the situation. You need to be able to be in places where it comes into confrontations. And that leads to needing democracy. Versus the setting that we have right now, which allows you to kind of move out whenever you feel like and kind of step out and do your own thing. So for a democratic system to work in this school, I think it's very important to restart the boarding as well.
Yeah, so I think that's an area that we have really not been able to develop, because children are not supposed to be institutionalized in that sense. But I think with this new understanding of democratic school and so on, that may be an area that we want to move into. But as you can gather, there's so much in education that can be explored and developed and brought home to be nurtured in the lives of children. And the children are the ones who will be enriched, and they will be contributors to a new way of doing and learning. So we wish Prep School the very best in the next so many years to come, and God's blessings. Thank you.
Dear friends, I want to share this message on the occasion of the 85th anniversary. It was in the year 1938, on 17th of May, the school was founded by a well-known educationist who came from England, Mr. Keble, who had a great vision for future generation of our country. He was a firm believer in primary education, that if we do lay a solid foundation, when a child is in his early age, that would bring him a great dividends in his future life. Having this vision in his mind, he founded a beloved school in 1938 with the blessings of God and the bishop who served during that era. 85 years have passed, and we have seen the results and the harvest of his foundation. The school, which began as a tiny plant, has grown into a mature tree now. In the tree, the birds are sheltered, fostered, and nurtured. And they are our own children, children of this land. Going down in the memory lane, we meet the committed and devoted headmasters who served this school. Mr. Perim Panayagan, Mr. J.S.L. Fernando, Mr. Abhay Nayaka, Mr. Kasi Chetty, and the former headmaster of our school, the present Bishop of Colombo, Right Reverend Dushant Rodrigo. to name a few. On a day like this, when we commemorate the 85th anniversary of prep school at Kolupitia, we remember all the teachers who served this institution faithfully with commitment. Some of them are not in this world, and we say, may they rest in peace and rise in glory. And how about the students who passed out of this hallowed educational institution? I believe that they are the testimonies of what this school has done. It has contributed immensely to the very life of our country and also built global citizens of whom that we can be proud of. So it's a day of celebration. 85 years of excellence in the field of education. Not forgetting the fact that we have created and nurtured disciplined children, scholars, educationists, and professionals in every field. So, as the present headmaster of this school, I'm indebted to the missionaries who served this school with so much devotion. And I turn to our God, our loving God and our living God, that I will be able to continue the legacy of this school. And I earnestly pray for all our teachers who serve in the school and the children who learn. May God continue to bless St. Thomas's Preparatory School at Kolupitia. The Lord is my good shepherd. Thank you.